Britain finds itself at a pivotal juncture. Economic uncertainty looms, social fabrics are shifting, global challenges feel ever present. The housing market, a cornerstone of our society, stands as a reflection of these larger forces. Home ownership, a dream held dear by many, feels increasingly fragile for some. Rental costs spiral upwards, leaving many grappling with affordability. A sense of unease permeates the air, a quiet questioning of what the future holds. Enter the fourth turning, a compelling theory that suggests history cycles through distinct phases. Imagine the seasons, each with its unique character and rhythm. The fourth turning proposes that civilizations experience similar cyclical patterns, each cycle spanning roughly 80 to 100 years. These cycles, known as turnings, are characterized by distinct moods, values, and events. The fourth turning, often referred to as the crisis, is a period marked by upheaval and transformation. But where do we stand within this cycle? Are we on the cusp of a fourth turning, a period of profound change that will reshape the very foundations of our society? The fourth turning theory offers a compelling lens through which to view the ebb and flow of history. It suggests that societies, like organisms, experience periods of growth, maturation, decline, and renewal. These cycles are not random but follow a predictable pattern driven by the interplay of generational archetypes and recurring historical events. Imagine a wheel turning, each revolution representing a full cycle of societal evolution. The wheel is divided into 4 segments, each representing a turning. As the wheel turns, each segment comes to the forefront, bringing with it its own distinct characteristics. The fourth turning is the culmination of the preceding turnings, a time when the accumulated tensions and contradictions of the cycle come to a head. Just as a forest fire clears the way for new growth, the fourth turning is a period of upheaval and transformation that ultimately paves the way for a new era. At the heart of the fourth turning theory lies the concept of generational archetypes. The theory posits that each turning within the cycle is shaped by the values, beliefs, and experiences of the generations that come of age during that time. The prophet generation, born during a time of crisis, grows up with a strong sense of duty and a desire to rebuild a better world. The nomad generation, coming of age during an era of societal unraveling, develops a cynical worldview and a distrust of institutions. The hero generation, born into a time of relative stability and prosperity, is characterized by its optimism, ambition, and can-do spirit. The fourth turning is characterized by a clash of generational values and perspectives as the hero generation, now in positions of power, struggles to maintain order amidst the growing chaos and uncertainty. Recognizing the signs, are we in a fourth turning? The fourth turning theory offers a compelling framework for understanding the cyclical nature of history. One key indicator is a growing sense of crisis and uncertainty, a feeling that the old order is crumbling and the future is uncertain. This sense of unease is often accompanied by a decline in social trust, rising economic inequality, and increasing political polarization. Another sign is the emergence of crisis catalysts, events that act as triggers, accelerating the pace of change and pushing societies towards a tipping point. By understanding the cyclical nature of history and recognizing the potential signs of a fourth turning, we can better prepare for the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Ambitious visions on the horizon. Throughout history, humankind has dared to dream big, to envision and construct awe-inspiring projects that push the boundaries of human ingenuity. From the ancient pyramids of Egypt to the soaring skyscrapers of today, these ambitious undertakings stand as testaments to our collective capacity for innovation. These grand visions, often conceived during periods of relative stability and prosperity, reflect a belief in progress and a confidence in the future. They capture the imagination of entire generations, inspiring awe, wonder, and a sense of shared purpose. Echoes of History, grand projects and turning points. Interestingly, periods of ambitious construction and grand projects have often coincided with major turning points in history. The Great Pyramid of Giza, for example, was constructed during the 4th dynasty of Egypt, a period of great prosperity and stability that preceded a period of political fragmentation and decline. Similarly, the Roman Colosseum, a symbol of Roman power and ingenuity, was completed during the Flavian dynasty, a period of relative peace and prosperity that preceded a period of internal strife and external threats. These projects, while impressive in their own right, can also be seen as reflections of the anxieties and aspirations of their time. But in our own time, we are witnessing a new wave of ambitious construction projects that seem to defy the limits of imagination. One such project is The Line, a futuristic megacity planned as part of the NEOM project in Saudi Arabia. This 170-kilometer-long linear city, designed to house 9 million people, is envisioned as a model of sustainability and innovation, powered entirely by renewable energy. The Line, with its audacious scale and ambition, has captured the attention of the world. Regardless of one's stance on the project, there is no denying its symbolic significance. The Line, like the grand projects of the past, stands as a testament to our enduring capacity for dreaming big. As we stand at this potential crossroads in history, it is worth reflecting on the relationship between ambition, innovation, and the cyclical nature of time. Are these grand projects merely expressions of human ingenuity, or could they also be indicators of deeper societal shifts, harbingers of a new era yet to unfold? Could these ambitious projects like The Line be seen as signs of a society grappling with its own mortality, seeking to leave an enduring legacy in the face of an uncertain future? The UK housing market, a bellwether of the nation's economic health and social well-being, stands directly in the path of the fourth turning's potential impact. The housing market, intrinsically linked to government policy, economic structures and social priorities, is unlikely to emerge unscathed. Home ownership, for generations a cornerstone of British society and a symbol of stability and aspiration, is facing renewed scrutiny as affordability issues reach critical mass. The rental market, too, is grappling with its own set of challenges, with rising rents and stagnant wages squeezing household budgets. The fourth turning could act as an accelerant, amplifying existing tensions within the housing market. To understand the potential impact of a fourth turning on the UK housing market, it is instructive to look back at how housing has been affected during previous periods of crisis and transformation. The aftermath of World War II saw a surge in demand for housing as returning soldiers and their families sought a place to call home. The government's response led to the mass construction of council housing, a policy that profoundly shaped the social and physical landscape of Britain for decades to come. Similarly, the economic turmoil of the 1970s and the subsequent recession of the early 1980s had a profound impact on the housing market. These historical examples highlight the cyclical nature of housing policy and the profound impact that periods of crisis and transformation can have on how we live. At the heart of the UK's housing challenge lies a fundamental issue: affordability. For many, particularly those in younger generations, the dream of home ownership feels increasingly out of reach. The average house price in the UK has risen significantly faster than wages in recent decades, creating a widening gap between aspiration and reality. This affordability crisis is particularly acute in major cities and urban centres, where demand for housing continues to outstrip supply. The rental market, too, is feeling the strain. Rising rents, driven by a combination of factors including increased demand, limited supply, and rising landlord costs, are putting immense pressure on household budgets. This affordability crisis is not merely an economic issue. It is a social crisis with far-reaching consequences. It is leading to increased generational inequality, with younger generations facing a much steeper climb onto the housing ladder than their predecessors. As we stand at this potential crossroads, the UK housing market faces a pivotal moment. The decisions made today, both by policymakers and individuals, will have far-reaching consequences for generations to come. Will we continue down the current path, with home ownership becoming increasingly out of reach for many, and the rental market becoming increasingly precarious? Or will we choose a different direction, one that prioritizes affordability, sustainability, and the creation of thriving communities? It is a time for bold thinking, innovative solutions, and a renewed commitment to creating a housing market that works for everyone. A confluence of challenges beyond the housing horizon. The UK housing market, as we've seen, stands at a precipice, yet to view it in isolation would be a mistake. The challenges it faces are intricately woven into a larger tapestry of national and global concerns. A confluence of pressures, economic, environmental, and geopolitical, converge to create a perfect storm, a maelstrom of uncertainty that threatens to engulf not just the housing market, but the very fabric of British society. These challenges are not mere abstractions, confined to the pages of policy reports or the pronouncements of politicians. They are lived realities, felt most acutely by those already grappling with the sharp edges of inequality and precariousness. These challenges, interconnected and mutually reinforcing, create a sense of unease, a feeling that the ground beneath our feet is shifting. The cost of living crisis squeezing households and dreams. At the forefront of these challenges stands the cost of living crisis, a relentless squeeze on household budgets that has left many struggling to make ends meet. The rising cost of essentials, food, energy, transportation, eats away at disposable incomes, leaving less and less for discretionary spending, savings, or crucially, housing costs. For those already on the margins, the impact is even more severe. Families forced to choose between heating their homes and putting food on the table. Pensioners struggling to afford their medication. The cost of living crisis is not merely an economic indicator, it is a human tragedy, playing out in living rooms and kitchens across the country. This crisis, fueled by a complex interplay of factors from global supply chain disruptions to domestic energy policy decisions, shows no signs of abating. It acts as a constant pressure point, exacerbating existing inequalities and undermining social cohesion. For the housing market, the implications are profound. As household budgets are squeezed, affordability becomes an even greater hurdle for aspiring homeowners. Renters, facing rising costs from landlords also grappling with increased expenses, find themselves caught in a vicious cycle. The cost of living crisis acts as a drag anchor on the housing market, limiting its potential and casting a shadow of uncertainty over its future. Climate change, a looming shadow on the built environment. Climate change, once a distant threat confined to scientific journals and environmental campaigns, has become an undeniable reality. Extreme weather events, once considered anomalies, are now more frequent and more intense. Flooding, heat waves, storms. These are no longer abstract concepts, but lived experiences impacting communities and disrupting lives. For the UK, an island nation with a long and storied relationship with the sea, the impacts of climate change are particularly acute. Coastal erosion threatens homes and infrastructure. Flooding disrupts transportation networks and damages property. Heat waves, increasingly common, pose health risks, particularly for the elderly and vulnerable. The built environment, including our homes, schools, hospitals, and transportation systems, is on the front line of these climate impacts. The housing market in particular faces a unique set of challenges. Existing housing stock, often built without consideration for future climate risks, may become uninsurable or uninhabitable. New construction must navigate stricter building codes and incorporate resilience measures, potentially increasing costs. Climate change is no longer a peripheral concern for the housing market. It is a central factor shaping its present and its future. Section 4, navigating uncertainty, the interplay of global and local forces. The challenges facing the UK housing market are further compounded by a backdrop of global uncertainty. Geopolitical instability, driven by conflict, resource scarcity, and ideological clashes, creates a ripple effect that reverberates across borders, impacting economies, societies, and, inevitably, housing markets. The war in Ukraine, for example, has had a profound impact on global energy prices, with ripple effects felt in homes and businesses across the UK. Trade disruptions, exacerbated by political tensions and the lingering effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, create supply chain bottlenecks, driving up the cost of building materials and delaying construction projects. This interconnectedness, a hallmark of globalization, means that events far beyond the UK's borders can have a direct and immediate impact on its housing market. Navigating this complex web of global and local forces requires a nuanced understanding of the interconnectedness of systems, a recognition that challenges rarely exist in isolation, and a willingness to embrace adaptive and forward-thinking solutions. Seeking shelter in the storm. Can housing provide the answer? As we've seen, the UK navigates a confluence of challenges, a perfect storm of pressures threatening to overwhelm. The housing market, buffeted by these headwinds, feels increasingly precarious. Yet, amidst this turbulence, a question emerges, a glimmer of hope in the gathering gloom. Could housing, the very heart of our communities, hold the key to weathering the storm? After all, housing is more than bricks and mortar, more than financial assets and investment portfolios. It is the bedrock of our lives, the foundation upon which we build families, communities, and futures. A safe, secure, and affordable home is not a luxury. It is a fundamental human need, essential for well-being, social cohesion, and economic prosperity. If the fourth turning compels us to confront fundamental questions about who we are and what truly matters, then housing, in its multifaceted significance, demands our attention. Could it be that by addressing the housing crisis, by ensuring that everyone has access to decent, affordable housing, we unlock solutions to other pressing challenges? Could a focus on sustainable housing help mitigate the impacts of climate change, creating more resilient communities and reducing our environmental footprint? Could a revitalized social housing sector help alleviate the cost of living crisis, providing a safety net for those struggling to keep up? The answers, while complex, are worth exploring. Innovation and adaptation, reshaping the housing paradigm. To unlock the potential of housing as a solution, we must be willing to challenge conventional thinking, to embrace innovation and adaptation as guiding principles. The old ways of doing things, the entrenched systems and assumptions that have shaped the housing market for decades, may no longer suffice in the face of unprecedented challenges. We need to think differently about how we design, build, and finance housing. We need to explore alternative models of ownership and tenancy, embracing concepts like co-housing, community land trusts, and rent-to-own schemes. We need to harness the power of technology, exploring the potential of modular construction, smart homes, and digital platforms to increase efficiency, affordability, and sustainability. The UK has a long and proud history of innovation in housing. From the pioneering social housing projects of the post-war era to the cutting-edge, sustainable designs of today, there is a wealth of knowledge and expertise to draw upon. We need to foster a culture of experimentation and collaboration, bringing together architects, builders, policymakers, community groups, and, crucially, residents themselves to co-create solutions that meet the needs of a changing society. The fourth turning in its disruptive potential can be a catalyst for such innovation. It can create the urgency and political will needed to overcome vested interests and challenge the status quo. It can inspire a new generation of housing pioneers, driven by a sense of purpose and a desire to build a better future. The power of community resilience and collective action. While innovation and adaptation are essential, they cannot succeed in a vacuum. The fourth turning, with its potential for social fragmentation and distrust, also highlights the importance of community, of resilience and collective action as antidotes to isolation and despair. The housing crisis at its core is a crisis of community. It is about people being priced out of their neighborhoods, forced to move away from their support networks, and feeling increasingly disconnected from the places they call home. To truly address the housing challenge, we need to rediscover the power of community, to create places where people feel a sense of belonging, where they can connect with their neighbors and build social capital. This means moving beyond a purely transactional view of housing, seeing it not just as a commodity to be bought and sold, but as a vital component of a thriving society. It means empowering communities to have a greater say in how their neighborhoods are developed, ensuring that new housing projects are designed with the needs of local residents in mind. It means fostering a sense of shared responsibility for creating inclusive and welcoming communities where everyone feels valued and supported. The fourth turning, with its emphasis on civic engagement and collective action, can be a catalyst for strengthening communities. It can inspire a renewed sense of neighborliness, a recognition that we are all in this together, and that our individual well-being is inextricably linked to the well-being of those around us. It can create opportunities for people from all walks of life to come together, to share their stories, and to work collaboratively towards a common goal. A call to action, shaping the future of UK housing. The question remains, is Britain on the brink? The fourth turning theory, a framework for understanding historical cycles, suggests we may be entering a period of profound change, a time of crisis and transformation. The UK housing market, inextricably linked to the nation's social and economic well-being, stands directly in the path of these potential shifts. The challenges are undeniable: affordability crises, climate change impacts, global uncertainty, but so too are the opportunities. This is not a time for complacency, for clinging to outdated models or accepting the status quo. It is a time for bold thinking, for innovative solutions, and for a renewed commitment to creating a housing market that works for everyone, not just a privileged few. It is a time to leverage the potential of technology, to embrace sustainable practices, and to foster a culture of collaboration and community engagement. The fourth turning, while potentially turbulent, can be a catalyst for positive change. It can inspire us to confront difficult questions, to challenge entrenched systems, and to envision a future where everyone has access to safe, secure, and affordable housing. This is not just a task for policymakers or industry leaders, it is a collective responsibility. Each of us has a role to play in shaping the future of UK housing, whether it's advocating for more affordable housing options, supporting sustainable building practices, or simply engaging in conversations about these critical issues within our communities. Every action, no matter how small, can contribute to a more just and equitable housing market. The future is not preordained, it is ours to shape. Let us rise to the challenge, embrace the opportunities before us, and build a brighter future for UK housing together.